Good afternoon, everybody. Today's chat is looking at mental abuse in the workplace. It's something that's becoming more and more prominent as there's an increase in people leaving the workplace. And there's something to be said when people are leaving the workplace without a job even to go to. That tells you the desperation at needing a change of environment. Why are people needing this change of environment? It's largely today because they're being exposed to abusive work relationships. And these abusive work relationships can feel incredibly isolating because they're often left feeling like they were alone, or they were overreacting to situations, or that nobody quite understood what they were seeing, or that people felt that they were making up stories. What we're talking about is different forms of mental abuse that we're seeing more and more in the workplace. I'm going to go through 12 types of mental abuse, and we're going to go through them with a few examples to help you hold yourself accountable as to whether you might be somebody that is engaging in mental abuse and actually not even realizing, or perhaps had some awareness and would just like to rein it in, or perhaps you're somebody that's been the participant of some mental abuse and hasn't actually quite recognized that or realized that, or has known that but hasn't actually known what to do about that. I think just validating your experiences can be incredibly powerful, both for your own mental well-being, as well as being a sounding board for friends of yours or colleagues of yours. Okay. And I think the most important thing is speaking out whether it's in written form or in verbal form. Okay. The first form of mental abuse I'm going to speak around is name calling. When someone uses a derogatory term, you're such an idiot, you're such a loser, you're so stupid. Now in the workplace, people are a little bit more astute than to say you're a loser. But what they do is they wrap it up in humor, and they wrap it up in sarcasm of like, where did you get your degree? What did you say? You had an MBA? About that MBA. These are all different forms of actually name calling you or making you feel less than. And that's actually a form of mental abuse. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is when someone makes you doubt your reality. So an example is like, about that paper you put on my desk. No, you didn't put that paper on my desk. No, I didn't get that paper. But you know that you did put that document on the desk. Of, no, you didn't send me that email. No, you think you did. Or no, you didn't say that in the board meeting. So it's evidence of things happening where consistently somebody is saying that your reality was not the reality. The best advice I can give for that is document everything, get proof for everything. Because whenever you feel like, am I going mad or am I losing it? That's usually when you're in a relationship where there's gaslighting involved. And the way that you can negate that is give yourself proof, written proof, documented proof, email proof, whatever it may be. Take photos, but start keeping proof so that you can start seeing what is the reality versus what am I being told the reality is. The other form is making threats. An example of this might be, well, if this is the type of reports I'm going to keep getting in, I don't know if you'll be able to continue here, or sure, I don't know if we'll be able to work with someone making reports like this. So what is this? This is somebody commenting in a way that makes you feel like your job might be threatened. And just those, often it's put as little comments or little overtones. And that's often when you need to pay attention. Write the date, write the time, write the incident around what was about, and write exactly what was said. The sooner you document it, the fresher it is in your mind. Another one is withholding information. I'm seeing this more and more in the corporate world, especially through the utilization of emails. People are getting excluded on email chains when it involves something that is either their subordinate or somebody that you're reporting to in that sense. Why is that? Because sometimes there is so much inner competition going on that people are deliberately leaving people out so that people can fail. How brutal and how ruthless and how relentless things can be. And that's why it's important to pay attention. When you are responsible for a project, but you are getting left out of key email chains, that could be a form of mental abuse. And it's important for you to start picking up whether that's a consistent pattern that's happening with a particular person. It usually helps to have a colleague who's involved in that project send every documented email around that specific project to you so that you can start picking up the gaps and the lags of when you're being excluded, and you could use it as proof that you are actually being excluded and that information is being withheld from you, and that's setting you up for failure. Another one is dismissiveness. We see this mostly in meetings, boardroom meetings, meetings where projects are being held. Someone puts an idea forward and it gets immediately shut down. That immediate shutdown is a form of dismissiveness because the information that is given to you is that whatever you're saying is irrelevant, whatever you're saying does not matter. That actually is a massive form of emotional abuse, and we're seeing it more and more today. I want you to pay attention for dismissiveness. Any idea that someone suggests needs to be reflected on, needs to be identified, needs to be validated. And if it gets put away, it needs to be verbalized why that idea is not going to be discussed then and there. Otherwise, it's dismissiveness. Constant criticism. So handing in work, somebody reporting and saying to you, this is wrong, that is wrong, that is wrong. That constant criticism without acknowledgement of thank you for getting this report in, or thank you for a great bit of work here. Could I just ask you to just refine points A and B? That is a great way to handle something. First acknowledging and appreciating and thanking, and then speaking around the areas that need to be tweaked. But when you're at the recipient of constant criticism, and it's only criticism, that is with the attempt to break you down, that is with the attempt to make you feel less than, that is an unhealthy power relationship. Humiliation. We see this more and more on email chains. People are hiding behind emails more than anything. People are hiding behind posts more than anything. Teams meetings, the boardroom meetings, just general meetings. Somebody making a comment and somebody making a comment about them to humiliate them. Whenever somebody comments in a way to make you feel embarrassment or to make you feel shame, they are humiliating you. Pay attention. That is emotional abuse. Blaming. Today's world, people are losing their jobs fast out of the need to cut back on people. And what it's done is it's created this unsustainable pressure to be perfect, and this totally irrational pressure to be perfect. And what that's resulting in is people are not owning their mistakes because they're too fearful they're going to be without a job and they're not going to be able to provide for their families. And in not being able to own their mistakes, they're blaming, they're shifting blame. And this is becoming a lot more prominent. When you discover that someone's constantly shifting blame and you pay attention, be aware of who's responsible for what, keep a paper trail. That blaming is a form of mental abuse. Silent treatment. We see it again in meetings, we see it in email chains. When someone's blatantly ignoring you in meetings, you're speaking up, they're not even looking at you. Eye contact is a huge example of being ignored. When you can see they're not even responding in a way where they're looking you in the eyes, that is mental abuse, that is emotional abuse. Belittling. When someone says something to try to lower your self-esteem or belittle your achievements. Let's say you won an award, and usually that is something that your boss should definitely mention and compliment you on. If your boss doesn't compliment you on that award, there's something amiss here because they're actually not acknowledging your achievements. And if they make light of the award or even criticize the award, that's a belittling act. Whenever you do something that has actually held attention and has given you praise, if that thing gets mocked, someone's deliberately belittling you. Isolation, when someone prevents you from seeing people. So colleagues, what does that look like? That looks like colleagues are going for work drinks or they're going for lunch together. There's an email chain, you get excluded, but actually it's the whole team except you. That is isolation. That is mental abuse. CC on emails. There's an email of something that you need to be in the know of, but you're being left out of it. That is isolating you. There's a potential to build relationships with stakeholders or to build networks. You're being left out of that deliberately. That is isolation. Pay attention that is a form of mental abuse. Trivialization is the last example that I want to speak around. It's when someone claims that you're overreacting or you're being so dramatic. Watch out for the colleagues that are uber calm. Most especially, not just the colleagues, but the bosses that you report to that are monotone. A monotone response often has hidden condescension that you're dramatic, you're overreacting, you really just need to tone it down a notch. So they often in the way they respond to you, the little things will just give you the picture that actually you're being dramatic. And that's called trivializing. Someone is playing down your emotions to make you feel like your emotions are not fitting. But you are who you are and you feel what you feel. Feelings aren't wrong. Often it's just the way one communicates feelings that can be difficult. I hope this helps you to better identify whether you have been the recipient of emotional abuse or if you've been responsible for emotional abuse towards somebody else. And in that vein, that you can hold yourself accountable or hold others accountable. Because in an ideal world, we need workplaces to be like families for people when they're away for family. We need that for our own mental health. We need that for the mental health of others. We need to show each other kindness and care and self-respect. And if we hold ourselves accountable to these 12 forms of mental abuse, we can help everyone along that journey. So hold yourself accountable, but also hold others accountable that you will not tolerate this. If you can do it for yourself, you're helping yourself in the world at least, and you can also help to educate others.